Welcome back, Spokane, to another episode of EvoReal Talks. I am your host, Matt Side, along with my lovely bride and co-host, Jessica Side. A lot of times she likes to introduce herself.
I know, but you were just taking long.
I was trying to take some visual cues and did not get those very well.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back, Jessica.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
This is our first live, recording, our first updated recording of the radio show podcast
since the
beginning of October.
Yep, it's true.
And that's because you went to visit your padre.
I did. I went to visit my dad and my stepmom. Maybe they're watching this. Hi, guys.
Hey.
And
glad you guys had to.
They just happened to live in Italy. So Matt was telling himself just recently that, hey, she's visiting her dad, which is true.
This is not a vacation.
For the last couple of years, I haven't seen him because of COVID. But I told him it wasn't a vacation. It was like a super vacation. We had a wonderful, wonderful time.
It was a super vacation because she didn't have her clingy spouse and all of her children. And
yeah, I mean, they really
no emails and no phone calls, and
they were incredible hosts. Like they speak Italian, so they took us everywhere.
It's like having your own personal tour guide in Italy. Yeah. Guides, plural.
Yeah, we went many places and did so many things. It was quite lovely, but I am really super glad to be home, and I'm glad to be back with you, my co-host.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you're glad to be back home and here.
So, here's the deal. One of the things that is great about going to some place like Italy is
there's really only one or two. Really.
You just get to do some things that are epic, right? You really are touching history. One of the things that we did, they live just a short train ride, maybe 30, 45 minutes away from Venice. And so we did go into Venice a couple of days. And when we did that, we passed by a building that had Vivaldi on the front, which I love Vivaldi. He's a composer. And he's the composer that did the Four Seasons. And if you don't think you know it, you probably do, because dun 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 da 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 dun 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 is one of the refrains in the Four Seasons. Anyway, I'm saying all this to say that apparently they do a concert like almost every night, and been doing it for years, because there's a church there that Vivaldi worked at and where he composed his Four Seasons. And so they do a concert every night in that church.
Every night? I didn't realize that.
It's pretty much every night. I mean, I know that they take some nights off, but it is an ongoing thing.
Is it a huge, kind of one of those like really big room churches where you have tons of awesome acoustics?
Well, yes, but it wasn't like one of the massive ones.
I'm just saying it was a nice big open room church where the acoustics are incredible.
Yes, it's a 15th, 16th century kind of a church, And the reason I bring this up is because we were there. It wasn't going to start till 7. My parents really didn't want to stay for it, but I really wanted to go, and my sister Erica came with us. And even though it was going to be kind of like they were going to leave us and we were going to have to get back and all these things, we decided, you know what? When are we going to get a chance to do this again? Maybe never. So let's just do it. Let's stay late. Let's go to this concert. And it was just absolutely incredible. One of the best things I've ever been to at a live performance. And I'm saying all of this because I feel like I touched a part of history there. Here's the reality. When history comes to your town, you need to take advantage of it.
That is something that your dad taught you.
It is, because when I was probably 13 or something like that, my dad found out that Mikhail Baryshnikov was coming to Spokane with his dance team, and modern dance company is what you called it. And he was like, you're going to it. He bought my sister and I tickets. He lived in Seattle at the time. And he was like, you can't miss this because this is history. Now, how does this relate to Spokane? How does this relate to what I want to talk about today? I want to talk about some of the things that are coming to Spokane into the theaters that I think you really should consider partaking in. We don't all get to go to Italy all the time. I don't even get to go to Italy all the time. And my dad lives over there. It is such an amazing thing when something amazing comes to Spokane. Try and get tickets to it. Expand your horizons, even if it's something that you don't know. One of the things that I did as I looked through what was happening, the best of Broadway. I looked at the Fox Theater and I looked at the Bing Theater, and some of the stuff I didn't know. And then I went to YouTube and I looked them up. And I was like, wow, I actually might really enjoy that, even though I would never know who they are. This is what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to give you guys some of the list of things that are happening in Spokane, and I want you to consider going to one of these things.
That's good.
All right. So
I'll consider it.
Let's start with the Best of Broadway. So the Best of Broadway hasn't been around for a while now, and they are starting up again. The first thing that's happening, and it's happening this weekend, is Cats. So now there's some mixed emotions about Cats because I hear it's kind of kooky, and I have actually never seen it, but my daughter is going to go to it this weekend. So Cats is one to consider. Every year, typically, we get some theater in town that does Christmas Carol. So if you haven't seen a live performance of Christmas Carol, I recommend that.
Have you confirmed that there's a theater doing it, or
yes.
You just know that?
No, this is all part of the Best of Broadway. So this is all going to happen.
Christmas
at the
Carol
Opera House.
is a part of Best of Broadway. It's
yes.
not just a Civic or something like
right.
that.
But not that just a Civic is not a good thing.
Well, but Best of Broadway and Civic are obviously different calibers of
That's
theater.
True. So here is another one that's coming. Mean Girls is coming in November.
Oh, you've got to go see that one.
Well, I already bought tickets, so there you go.
Actually, I think I'm part of that.
Yes, you are. Yeah, Anastasia is coming now. If you've seen, there's a.
Did we see that in Seattle?
Oh, never seen. I've never seen Anastasia.
It was that other one. Was it A? I don't remember it. Aida.
Yes. So Anastasia is coming in January. Fiddler on the Roof is coming in January. If you've never seen Fiddler on the Roof, seriously consider that. It's a great musical. It's very interesting. It's a good one. Jersey Boys is coming in February. Wicked is coming in March.
Wicked's coming in this run?
And I think we've had Wicked come here at least 2 or 3 times. And if you haven't seen it, dang, it's so good.
And even if you have seen it, you probably want to see it again.
And here's the thing is that, you can... Yes, the tickets are expensive, but
Well, okay, what is expensive?
Well, I mean, some of these tickets are $80 easily.
That is not. I'm sorry. That is a significant amount of money. It's not going to the theater for $15,
and not necessarily. You're going to see all of.
But you're going to see any concert is going to be that kind of money. Yeah. A baseball game is going to be that kind of money, and a professional baseball game.
Sure.
I mean, maybe not in the nosebleeds, but
yeah. Well, and the nosebleeds here also are not that expensive. Here's the other. So Wicked is coming. Here's the other one that's coming. Hamilton. And I'm not going to freak out about it, but just know that it is one of the best musicals I've ever seen in my entire life. And I really, really highly recommend it. The tickets are not for sale yet, but when they do go on sale,
they will move fast.
So keep an eye on that. And it's amazing. It's so good.
And I think that's where you come back to what the
history.
Mikhail Baryshnikov. I actually switched the letters. Burrell Mikishnikov. That would have been.
That's a good one.
I mean, that Hamilton is theatrical history.
Yes.
It is one of those shows that comes along potentially once in a lifetime.
Yeah. That
kind of just changes theater.
Yeah. It is significant. It is truly history coming to town. And if you can buy those tickets, please do. The next one and the last one that we have for this season is called Come From Away. And it is a musical. And I believe it won several.
I've never even heard of that.
I know. And here's what I want to tell you. It is based on the events of 9/11. When everything happened on 9/11, all of the planes were grounded. And now you have all these people that don't have any place to go. A town in Newfoundland opened their doors and there were 7,000 stranded people in the area. And now I think that's right, or maybe it's 7,000 total people were stranded. Anyway, it is a musical about that city and the people that they welcomed into the air. And it's supposed to be absolutely amazing.
Interesting. I mean, I lived through 9/11, as many
Yes, most people probably on here.
Right? If you were not traveling by air during that period of time, we do not understand what that must have been like to be in an airport and to immediately have all flights canceled without any known, rescheduling.
Right.
And then you have to fly back home after three multiple airplanes are hijacked, and
it's super scary.
And
that's the thing that I think but it's a little story, right? I mean, yes, it's against a backdrop of something big, but it's a little story about people.
Do we have tickets for that one?
We don't, but we'll work on that.
I think I would be really interested in that.
So that is the best of Broadway that's coming. Let's talk about Fox Theater. Fox Theater has Fox Theater and the Bing Theater. They're such cool little theaters, and they're wonderful to watch things in. They're very intimate. They have so much class and.
Can I know this is not your intention.
Yeah.
But I absolutely have to give a plug for the condo I have listed at 1221. I'm just telling you, Railroad Alley.
This is not planned.
This was not planned, but I have been downtown in the West End a couple of times in the last week, and 3 or 4 times I'm like, God, I wish I just could park in. Like they have parking there.
Yeah.
To have to try and find a place to park at the Fox, you're walking like 6 blocks.
It's true.
So if you love theater. Anyway,
it's a good condo. It's true.
I had to grab that.
Okay, I'll let you do it. Okay, so the things that are coming, Orpheus and Eurydice, I believe is what it's called. It's an opera.
Matrix?
It's an opera that is happening at the end of October.
That was Morpheus, not Orpheus.
That's correct. Help me,
guys! It's been a good solid 2.5 weeks since I've recorded a radio show.
In April, Walt Wagner Jazz Trio is coming. So again, these are things that you can look up and you can see. Hey, is this something I'm going to be interested in? Archie Chan String Quartet in November. String quartets, if you've never heard one of them, is just beautiful. It's a very different
now, is that
experience.
part of the symphony, or is that an outside group coming in?
I'm not 100% sure. I believe that might be by themselves, but I cannot be 100% sure on that. Now, some of these other ones, the Symphony is doing the Nutcracker, so you can be a part of that. I've seen the Nutcracker enough, like I don't feel like I need to go see it again. So unless there was someone that was doing something very, very different, but I know that that's some people's tradition is to always go see the Nutcracker, and they love that. There's another thing that's happening. They're doing, and I don't have everything on here. Okay, obviously there's lots of things you can go see. They have a Holiday Pops series, and that they have this group called the Sweeplings, and they're like a bluegrass folk duo, and they've got this wonderful harmonies, kind of got that bluegrass sound. So they're working with the Symphony to do a Holiday Pops concert,
really?
And I think it could be really, really cool.
And I didn't really realize last week when we went to Leslie Odom Jr. that he was with the Symphony.
Yes.
Like the Symphony played.
Yeah.
I mean, he had his own band there as well for certain things. Yeah. But there was a ton of stuff he did with the Symphony. And it was a lot of fun. Our Symphony actually is quite good.
They're fantastic. They're really, really excellent. And here would be a great one. If you love the Symphony, they're doing Beethoven's Ninth on December 31st. So New Year's Eve,
that'd be fun.
They're doing Beethoven's Ninth. It's just a classic. It's big. It's bold. It's an amazing piece of music. So that's that. All right. I'm going to finish up with the Bing. The Bing has, coming to the Bing, we've got on October 31st, Black Jacket Symphony. Again, these are things I had to look up.
Super cool name.
It is. They are a cover band for Led Zeppelin. So if you like Led Zeppelin music, and a lot of people are saying that they're the best cover band out there for Led Zeppelin, and the lead singer's voice is amazing.
Really?
So yeah. So if that's your gig, I would even go to something like that because Led Zeppelin has such. I'm not a big into hard rock or anything.
Yeah, but Zeppelin is just got a
so
depth
much
of music
and the melodies with the guitars and the way it's pretty cool. This one is really cool. January 19th. Jesse Cook, and I looked him up. He is a Latin guitar, and so he's playing like this Latin guitar, and he has a band that plays Latin music.
Oh, cool.
Really beautiful stuff. February 11th, the Fab Four. It's a cover band, I believe, for the Beatles. It could be really good. I love the Beatles.
How interesting. I'm curious. We haven't obviously done a ton of like digging into all of the things that come to town,
No.
but it feels like there's.
I think it's because we don't do that. We get into our lives.
We do the same thing that most people do is you just get focused
it
on
has
what's
to like
going on.
has to get in front of your face like Hamilton is coming, and then you go, oh man, I better get those Hamilton tickets. But then you also have all these other amazing artists and people that are coming to Spokane that it's maybe outside of what you would normally do, but boy, here's what I love. I love texture in my life. And when you go from seeing Hamilton to doing a holiday pops with a bluegrass folk band, and then you go see Black Jacket Symphony, and then a Latin guitarist. I mean, you're adding texture to your memories and to your life, and I love that. The last two things I'm going to bring up. David Archuleta is coming to town, and I'm laughing because I was like, I know that name, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, that's that little kid that was on American Idol so many years ago.
Isn't he the DJ guy? Doesn't he do
No, he's not that guy. He was just this cute kid with dark hair, really beautiful voice, but like he's got to be a full-on adult now. That's happening in February. The last one I wanted to bring up with the Bing was Nate Bargatze. I might be saying that wrong. He is a comedian. Like he's got a show on Netflix. He's really funny, and that is happening in May. Now, a lot of these things have been scheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled and rescheduled. So,
and that could be part of what we're feeling is that compression of
maybe so
like 18 months worth of shows that everybody's trying to get worked in.
Yeah, but I just want to encourage you. Yes, you live in Spokane. We are not New York. We are not even Seattle. We are, we're not Chicago. But these things do come to town. Mm-hmm. And there's some really, really beautiful things that I think will add a new perspective, a new beauty to your life if you allow them in. So that is what I want to do.
That is a great encouragement. It comes back to some things we've talked about in the past about being a tourist in your own town.
Yes.
Like we have an incredible place here in Spokane, Washington.
And
those of us that live here longer, I think lose some of that.
Yep.
Because it's just familiarity. We're familiar with, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that the more we support these things, the more great things can come to town. I mean, Mikhail Baryshnikov hasn't come back since I was 13.
Wow, is he still even dancing?
I don't know. I'm sure he's doing something. But I don't really know. Just saying
he's teaching lessons.
Continue to be a patron of the arts.
It dawned on me again anew, I'll say, when you came home. And you're like, flying over Spokane was incredible with the colors of all of the different leaves.
Yeah.
And, this is such a perfect, I know that like Manitou has their drive, like the fall color drive where you can go drive through the park and things. Again, it's just taking the time to get out of the ordinary. Your dad used to do it a ton with when you guys were younger kids, like the Adventure Saturdays or whatever.
Yes.
Like
that was literally called Adventure Saturday.
It
was with my younger siblings. Yeah,
but you were part of it in some. At least the
whenever I was there, absolutely.
So anyway.
So Matt, what real estate boredom do you have for us? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
See, this is why I didn't do any shows by myself when you were gone.
I'm teasing.
Listen,
obviously,
yap on and on.
I like real estate enough to have done it for 19 years.
I want to read. I'm going to give you a word and read the definition to you.
I'm ready.
The word is shift.
Oh, I wasn't sure what was happening there. Okay.
Shift. Move or cause to move from one place to another, especially over a small distance.
Okay.
I want to give some context around the word shift because a shift could mean I shift my weight from one leg to the other.
Okay.
Or it could be a shift of the San Andreas Fault.
I was going to say tectonic plates.
Right? Aww. So those two shifts are completely different. One can hardly be noticed. Mm-hmm. The other cannot be ignored.
That's true.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the real estate market, and like it or not, there is a shift happening. Mm-hmm. And what that shift will end up being, time will only tell.
Sure.
And I think it's important to know that I am not here running around, the sky is falling, but we're going to be looking at some charts and we're going to be talking about some numbers. And I think you have to have your head in the sand to not think that there's some sort of shift happening in the real estate market.
Sure.
So what I want to do is come to this number set that we talk about. Whenever we talk about numbers, data is important, but consistency in data, which what I mean by that is that I'm going to go into the raw data of the MLS and I better have the same data sets every time I look at it, because anytime I have variables involved, now I no longer have true data to compare.
Correct.
So let's just go through active listings on the market. 622 active listings on the market. An active price range of $64,000 to $6.9 million.
Okay.
So lake property actually in Coeur d'Alene that's on Spokane MLS.
All right.
Okay. The median active list price, $432,000.
Okay.
Pending listings, 1,228. Sold in the last 6 months, 4,979.
Okay.
I'm just throwing out these numbers.
That's fine.
Our median sold price over the last 6 months, $377,500.
Okay.
And our current months of inventory is 0.83 months of inventory.
Okay.
Now we have talked on the show before about inventory and what that is. Super quick. If no other homes come on the market, how many months before we sell based on the average number of sales over the last 6 to 12 months, and I always use 12 because I feel like it gives me a better picture, before we run out of houses to sell.
Right.
Anything that is 5 months or fewer is considered a seller's market. Anything that's between 5 and 7 would be balanced, and anything that is 7 or more would be a buyer's market. Okay,
right.
So it's the supply and demand of real estate.
Yes.
So 0.83 months of inventory is still a very strong seller's market.
It's still less than a month.
Let me just read you that same data set from May of this same year.
Okay.
Number of active listings on May 13th, 212.
Okay. So that's like tripled.
Yeah, here I'll just, it was 0.28 months of supply, 299% increase since May in active inventory.
Okay.
So that's where when I talk about a shift,
right.
In the big picture, it's still a seller's market.
Right. It's not the San Andreas fault.
It's not the San Andreas. Oh, I thought you were saying with apostrophe S, like it was their, like the false
their
fault.
Yeah. No.
All right, sorry. Semantics. However, it sure can feel like it.
Yes.
When it's gone up 300% in 6 months, less than 6 months. Mm-hmm. Okay. Active price range in May, $57,000 to $7 million. I think that same Coeur d'Alene Lake property is still on the market. Median active list price at that time was $422,000, which is only $10,000 less than it is today. Mm. Pending listings, 1,244, so that's only 20, not even 20 different.
Right.
So it's nearly really the same number of pending transactions. Sold in the last 6 months, 3,722, which makes sense because that 6 months goes over the winter months, which tend to have a little bit lower, and that's why I always like to see a 12-month window because it corrects for seasonality. Mm-hmm. Median sold price for the 6 months prior as of that date was $329,000. So I'm just going to bring that context. So 329, a reminder, when I pulled it this week, 377.5. That's a 14% increase in median sold price. Yeah, that's a lot. May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months. Not even 6 months. That's a almost 15% increase, 14% increase.
Looking at a single month, though, just so you know, like that is not looking at an average over a 12-month is
no. That was a 6 month median rolling? Sold. So I compared 6 months and 6 months. Right. That is not a 1 month to 1 month comparison. Okay. That is a pretty reasonable data set to compare.
Okay, got it.
So those are the numbers. Let's take a look at. Actually, I have a couple of other numbers I want to throw out before we look at some of the graphs.
Okay.
So median days on market. So 6 months sold. So if we go median days on market for the last 6 months was 4. Our currently active median days on market is 20. again, 20 days on market,
Used
historically speaking,
It's
is
nothing.
not a crazy amount of
Right.
time. It's perspective right now. And what I want to draw attention to in the perspective is that a lot of sellers right now, if they're not careful, are getting emotional and freaking out.
Yes. Yes.
And emotion is the most important piece of that.
Yeah.
Because is it time to freak out? Probably not. But there's a lot of emotion when you think you're going to get 15 offers on the first weekend or in 100 showings.
Right.
And you get 0.
Sure, because that's the story that's been it's like it's such a funny thing, right? You think about stories through the generations. These are just stories through the summer, right? Well, when I was this summer, let me tell you about my home sale. And then you get people telling you about all this craziness and you think you're going to get that same thing in October after the market is just cooling a little bit.
Cooling off. I'm calling it pumping the brakes. That's what my I feel like the market has pumped its brakes a little bit, right? You like look down at your speedometer and you're like, oh, holy God, I'm 15 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Yes.
Maybe I should like pump my brakes a little bit so I don't get a ticket.
Right.
Another interesting statistic is of all of the active properties at the time I pulled this off the MLS, 10% of them had a price drop.
Okay.
So the people are responding or reacting, whatever you want to call it, to the pumping of the brakes. That's a pretty large number of homes that have had a price drop in the recent history.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at, and we'll post like these real graphs on our Facebook page and stuff for people that want to see them, and I'll, take them up to the camera here so you can kind of see what we're looking at. Let's take a look at the active listing numbers here real quick. I'll move my coffee cup so it's not in my way. So let's just put this up for the fans at home to see here real quick. That bottom line that you see arching toward the top, that is 2021's active listing numbers. And you can see it was just down at the very bottom of that chart. And then at about April, I think is what that month is. In April, from April on, it has slowly started to move its way up. And I'm going to show you again, I took my little orange pen there, and it has now crossed. There is more inventory now than last year. So we have exceeded the inventory on the market, and if it keeps its trajectory, it is going to go past 2019. So for the last
but it may not. When
it
you
may.
See the trends,
oh yeah, absolutely. It may
Let me
not.
just say that when I look at this, I see trends that move down toward this part
I know,
of the year. So.
And that's where this line and this number will be so critical in the next few months, because if it keeps moving up, when statistically over the last several years it has gone down this time of year, then that is an indicator that there's potentially more correction to come.
How about I bet you that it will go down?
I'm going to bet you it's going to cross over 2019.
Okay, all right, there
and
we go.
Here's why I say that.
We'll find
Because
out.
let's look at a different number. If you look at that highlight at the very top, so what happened in the end of 2019 is the Association of Realtors changed the way they reported their pending and contingent transactions. Based on the old way that they did it, we currently have more contingent/pending inventory than 2019 for the same data.
Okay.
It was 1,460, and we are currently at 1,559.
That's exciting.
It is not exciting. It is.
I'm sorry.
All right, let's look at the median price. This is easy. I didn't even have to color this one in. It goes 21 on the very bottom, 22 and the opposite. 2019 on the bottom, 2020 is in the middle, and 2021 is at the top. So this is our median sales price, and you'll notice right there in the middle of the year is now starting to come down. So it's like it's the supply and demand, right? You start having supply go up, now all of a sudden people are having to drop their price if they're going to get their house sold.
Correct.
So, and then the last chart that I have here is very interesting too. This is closed sales. It's interesting to me anyway. So It is interesting. I have boxed in the month of September, and you can see, and the reason I boxed it in is because every single month of September, 21, 20, and 19 are almost literally the same. They're within almost 20 transactions.
That's interesting.
So what I'm trying to share with you here is that we have seen a significant increase in active listing inventory with zero change in in closed sales.
Gotcha.
And so therefore, the only thing that can change is price has to come down. If there are no more buyers in the market buying, and the listings continue to go up, the
Mm-hmm.
only way to compensate that from just basic real estate economics is that it has to come back down
Okay.
on price.
Well, that is good information.
I think we've covered what we need to for this day in October. Jessica, thank you for joining me.
Yes.
Thank you for being home.
You're welcome.
To all the single parents out there, my heart, I'm not even, I don't jest. It's a lot of work to run a household by yourself. So
Yes, indeed.
thank you for being here.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, Spokane. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.